The PlayStation 2 wasn't just a bestseller. It was a canvas for some of the most visually stunning games of its era. From dreamy cel shading to jaw-dropping realism, developers squeezed every last pixel out of Sony's little black box, creating worlds that still turn heads today. Whether you love lush fantasy, gritty horror, or high-octane action, these 20 PS2 games prove that beauty isn't just skin-deep, it's an unforgettable part of the experience.
I'd never forgive myself. No way. Not if I ran away now.
My thoughts exactly.
Well, I'm fighting.
Yuna! This is our story. Now let's see this thing through together.
Final Fantasy X. Back in 2001, when Final Fantasy X hit the PS2, it was like trading your old flip phone for the latest smartphone. Everything suddenly looked sharper, shinier, and way more dramatic. Gone were the days of blocky heroes with hands like oven mitts. Now we had Tidus, Yuna, and the gang sporting actual fingers, facial expressions, and hair so gravity-defying it could only exist in a JRPG. Spyra, the game's world, is basically a travel brochure for places you can't afford to visit. You've got sparkling beaches, glowing temples, and enough lush scenery to make even the most dedicated couch potato want to go outside, almost. The water effects alone deserve their own Oscar, especially during blitzball matches, which looked so good you'd forget you had no idea how to play blitzball. And let's not forget those Eon summons. Every time you called one, it was like the PS2 flexed its muscles and said, "Look what I can do." Lightning storms, fire dragons, and particle effects galore. It was a fireworks show every battle. Even after all these years, Final Fantasy X is proof that a little bit of tech, a lot of art, and a dash of JRPG melodrama can make for one seriously beautiful adventure. Silent Hill 3. Imagine waking up in a shopping mall that's somehow been possessed by your worst nightmares, and then realizing that's just the start of your day. Welcome to Silent Hill 3, the 2003 PlayStation 2 horror classic that's basically the video game equivalent of a bad dream you can't hit snooze on. If you thought the first game was creepy, this one cranks the weirdness and gore up to 11, dragging you deeper into the foggy, twisted town where sanity is optional and monsters are RSVP'd guests. You step into the slightly bloodstained shoes of Heather, a snarky, relatable teen who just wants to grab a burger and head home, but instead gets roped into a cosmic cult conspiracy. Plot twist. She's not just any mall rat. She's the key to resurrecting a god that really should have stayed in the cosmic attic. After a run-in with a trench coat-wearing detective and a villain who looks like she's been binge-watching too much late-night horror, Heather's world flips between grimy reality and the infamous Otherworld, where everything is rust, blood, and monsters that look like Picasso's nightmares. Gameplay-wise, Silent Hill 3 is classic survival horror, with a side of, oh god, what is that thing? You'll juggle ammo, never enough, health drinks, never cold, and puzzles that range from, I got this, to, I need a Shakespeare degree for this. The game's infamous radio crackles when monsters are near, which is both helpful and a guaranteed way to spike your heart rate. Combat is clunky but tense, and exploration is a constant dance between curiosity and self-preservation. The environments are so atmospheric, you can practically smell the mold through your CRT. It's a cult classic that's aged like fine, slightly haunted wine. Jak 3. Think post-apocalyptic desert vibes meet furry heroes with attitude, and you've got Jak 3, the 2004 PlayStation 2 game that's basically what happens when Mad Max crashes a Saturday morning cartoon. Our spiky-haired, no-nonsense protagonist Jak and his wisecracking Otzel sidekick Daxter get kicked out of the big city and thrown into a sun-baked wasteland, where survival means more than just running and jumping. It means blasting, racing, and unleashing some serious eco-powered chaos. Gameplay is a glorious mashup of platforming, shooting, racing, and just enough open-world chaos to keep you glued to your DualShock. Jak's arsenal gets a serious upgrade. 4 guns, each with 3 wild mods, so you're never short on firepower or creative ways to blast baddies. The eco powers return, but now Jak can go full Dark Jak for some serious destruction, or channel Light Jak to heal, glide, and even stop time. Because who hasn't wanted to hit pause during a boss fight? The world is huge, with Spargus and Haven City as your main playgrounds, and vehicles galore, from dune buggies to zoomers, each with its own flavor of mayhem. Jak 3 is memorable for its seamless blend of genres, witty banter, and a story that actually ties up the trilogy's loose ends. No small feat in the world of early 2000s platformer. Whether you played it on PS2, revisited it on PS3 or PS4 in the Jak and Daxter collection, or fired it up on a shiny new PS5, Jak 3 is a wild ride that proves Naughty Dog knew how to make a finale stick the landing. Resident Evil 4. Remember when games actually scared the crap out of you while simultaneously making you feel like a badass? That's Resident Evil 4 in a nutshell. The 2005 GameCube masterpiece that drop-kicked survival horror into a new dimension and spawned about 47 ports, remasters, and a ground-up remake. This isn't your older sibling's Resident Evil with its tank controls and fixed camera angles. This is survival horror with an espresso shot and a side of adrenaline. Our boy Leon S. Kennedy, who went from first day on the job rookie cop to government agent with anime protagonist Hairgets, shipped off to rural Spain to rescue the president's daughter. What should be a simple extraction turns into a nightmare carnival of parasitic villagers, religious zealots with medieval weaponry, and creatures that look like someone's biology experiment gone horribly wrong. The story walks that perfect tightrope between genuinely tense and delightfully campy, delivering one-liners so cheesy they'd make an 80s action hero blush. The gameplay revolutionized third-person action with its over-the-shoulder perspective that lets you aim precisely at kneecaps, heads, or that conveniently placed explosive barrel. Each encounter becomes a mini-puzzle of resource management and spatial awareness. Do you waste precious ammo, knife your way through, or just sprint past and pray? The iconic attaché case inventory system turns organization into an art form, making Tetris players feel right at home arranging herbs, ammo, and that rocket launcher you're saving just in case. Whether experienced on original hardware, VR, or the stunning 2023 remake, Resident Evil 4 remains the gold standard for games that perfectly balance terror, action, and just enough absurdity to keep you coming back for one more checkpoint until 3 a.m.
Let's get started, shall we?
Metal Gear Solid 3. Remember way back in 2004? We were all rocking out to flip phones, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater stealthily dropped onto our PlayStation 2s. This wasn't your typical sneaking mission. It was a full-blown survival trip in the Cold War era, 1964 to be exact. You play as Naked Snake, who's basically the cool grandpa of the Metal Gear universe. He'll eventually become Big Boss, you know, the legend. Your initial gig is to snatch a Soviet scientist, Sokolov, who's building a nuke-launching tank called the Shagohod. But plot twist, Snake's mentor, the boss, pulls a fast one, defects to the Soviets, and brings a portable nuke along for the ride. Now Snake has to take her down, destroy the tank, and save the world from going boom. Along the way, you'll meet a quirky cast of villains, like the Cobra Unit. Think super soldiers with names like the Pain and the End, who, by the way, is ancient. The story is a deep dive into loyalty and what it means to fight for your country, even if it means facing your hero. Gameplay in Snake Eater threw us into the thick of the jungle, instead of the usual cityscapes. Survival was the name of the game. You had to use camouflage to blend in with the environment. Think fashion show for spies. Stamina was a thing, so you had to hunt for food like snakes and frogs. Yum. Get hurt? Time for some battlefield surgery with the Cure system. And let's not forget close quarters combat, CQC, where you could grab, interrogate, and even use enemies as human shields. Talk about multitasking. The boss battles? Absolutely bonkers and memorable, like the sniper duel with the End that could literally take days if you waited him out. Originally a PlayStation 2 gem, you can now play it on everything from your old PS3 to a shiny new Steam Deck. Snake Eater is unforgettable for its gripping story, the immersive jungle setting, the focus on surviving against all odds, and those uniquely Kojima boss fights. Many fans still think it's the best Metal Gear game ever made. Shadow of the Colossus. Back in 2005, when flip phones were still kinda cool, a game arrived on the PlayStation 2 that was different. Forget your sprawling worlds filled with endless side quests. Shadow of the Colossus said, "Nah, let's just do epic boss fights." And boy, did they deliver? You play as Wander, a dude who's not afraid to trespass into the Forbidden Lands with his trusty horse, Aggro, and a dead girl named Mono. His mission? To strike a deal with a shadowy entity named Dorman to bring Mono back to life by taking down 16 absolutely massive creatures called Colossi. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Dorman warns there's a hefty price to pay for this resurrection gig. The story is minimalist, almost poetic. Wander rides across a stunning but desolate landscape, sword in hand, literally using sunlight to track down these colossal beasts. Each Colossus is a unique puzzle, a skyscraper with fur that you have to figure out how to climb and then stab in its glowing weak spot. Think David versus a whole lot of Goliaths 16 times over. But here's the twist. As you fell these magnificent creatures, Wander gets progressively more corrupted, hinting that maybe, just maybe, you're not the hero in this story. Gameplay is all about the thrill of the climb and the satisfaction of figuring out each Colossus's weakness. You'll be clinging on for dear life as these giants try to shake you off, managing your stamina like it's the last slice of pizza. Aggro, your horse, is your only companion in this lonely journey, and you'll probably develop a stronger bond with him than with the silent Mono. Originally a PlayStation 2 exclusive, this masterpiece of scale and atmosphere has been reborn on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, proving that sometimes less story NPCs really is more epic, unforgettable moments. Okami. In the heyday of the PlayStation 2, when memory cards were precious and every game case had a story, Okami arrived in 2006 and instantly stood out from the crowd. Instead of another generic hero, you play as Amaterasu, the Shinto sun goddess reborn as a white wolf, on a mission to save the land of Nippon from darkness and decay. The story is a whirlwind of Japanese myths, quirky sidekicks, and epic showdowns against the monstrous Orochi and his supernatural cronies. Every inch of the world looks like it's been painted by hand, thanks to a gorgeous Sumi-e ink aesthetic that the PS2 somehow manages to pull off without breaking a sweat. But the real magic is the celestial brush mechanic. Pause the action, use the analog stick to paint symbols, and watch as your doodles become powerful attacks, environmental fixes, or even a way to change night into day. Gameplay is a smooth mix of action, puzzle solving, and exploration, clearly inspired by Zelda, but with its own divine flair. You'll battle demons, help villagers, and uncover secrets, all while soaking in a soundtrack that's as beautiful as the visuals. Okami on PS2 is more than just a game. It's an interactive work of art, and a must-play for anyone who loves adventure, folklore, or just being a really, really good dog. Final Fantasy XII, PS2, 2006. Let's set the scene. It's 2006, the PlayStation 2 is still going strong, and Square Enix drops Final Fantasy XII, a game that takes the series in a bold new direction and leaves fans arguing over its legacy to this day. Gone are the random encounters and turn-based battles of yesteryear. Instead, you're tossed into the sprawling, war-torn world of Ivalice, where politics are as deadly as monsters, and airships are basically the Uber of the sky. The story centers on Vaughn, a street-smart orphan with big dreams, but don't be fooled. He's mostly along for the ride while the real drama unfolds around Princess Ash, Sky Pirate Balthier, the suavest rogue this side of Han Solo, and a cast of rebels fighting to free Dalmasca from the clutches of the Arcadian Empire. It's a tale of betrayal, resistance, and enough palace intrigue to make Game of Thrones look like a soap opera. The new Gambit system lets you program your party's AI so you can set up wild combos and watch your team fight like a well-oiled machine. Battles happen seamlessly in the world, so you can see enemies coming and plan your approach, or just run away like a sensible person. The license board gives you total control over character growth, letting you turn your healer into a sword-swinging tank if you're feeling spicy. With its massive open zones, lush visuals, and Yasumi Matsuno's signature political storytelling, Final Fantasy XII is a standout in the series. Some fans miss the old-school formula, but for those who crave strategy, freedom, and a world that feels truly alive, this PS2 classic is a must-play. Gran Turismo 4. If you were a car-obsessed gamer in the mid-2000s, Gran Turismo 4 on PlayStation 2 was basically your holy grail. Released in late 2004 in Japan and early 2005 elsewhere, GT4 was Polyphony Digital's love letter to automotive history, cramming over 700 cars from 80 manufacturers onto a single DVD. Want to drive a 19th century Daimler, a 2005 Ford GT, or a futuristic concept car? GT4 had you covered? The game's simulation roots run deep. GT4 introduced a new physics engine, making every car feel unique and every turn a test of your skills. The tracks list was equally impressive, with 51 layouts including real-world icons like Nürburgring and city circuits from around the globe 26. The visuals pushed the PS2 to its limits, with detailed car models, improved lighting, and even a high-definition mode for those lucky enough to own an early HD TV6. But GT4 wasn't just about racing laps. The all-new B-Spec mode let you play crew chief, giving orders to your AI driver and speeding up time for those marathon endurance events. Photo mode let you snap glamour shots of your rides in scenic locations, and the driving missions and license tests kept you grinding for perfection. Customization was deep, letting you tweak everything from tire pressure to gear ratio. Sure, there was no car damage, your precious rides bounced off walls like bumper cars, and the AI sometimes drove like it was on rails, but the sheer scope and polish made GT4 a PS2 classic. It's still remembered as one of the greatest racing sims ever, and for many, it's the game that turned a love of cars into a lifelong obsession. Kingdom Hearts 2. Alright, let's talk about a game that's basically a fever dream, where Mickey Mouse hangs out with Final Fantasy characters, and everyone has fabulous hair. Kingdom Hearts 2. This action RPG epic hit the PlayStation 2, first in Japan in 2005, and then landing in North America in 2006. Picking up after Sora, Donald, and Goofy take a long nap. They wake up to a world that's gotten a whole lot more complicated, thanks to mysterious beings called Nobodies and their shadowy leaders, Organization 13. The plot sends our heroes hopping across a wild mix of Disney and original worlds, all while trying to find their missing friends, figure out who this Roxas kid is, and stop the organization from doing, well, whatever it is they're doing with Kingdom Hearts. It's a sequel that somehow manages to be even bigger, flashier, and more emotionally confusing than the first game, all while keeping that unique blend of heartwarming Disney charm and dramatic Final Fantasy flair. Gameplay is a flashy, fast-paced affair, building on the original's Keyblade combat with cool new tricks like reaction commands, hit triangle for awesome context-sensitive moves, and drive forms that temporarily power Sora up. While some folks might call it a button masher, there's surprising depth for those who dig into the combos and abilities. With epic boss fights, a story that somehow manages to be both convoluted and emotionally resonant, and squeezing every last drop of power out of the PS2, Kingdom Hearts 2 remains a fan favorite and a high point for the series. Devil May Cry 3. When you talk about the most beautiful games on PlayStation 2, Devil May Cry 3 absolutely deserves a spot in the conversation. Released in 2005, this game wasn't just about stylish demon slaying and over-the-top action, it was a visual showcase for what Capcom could squeeze out of Sony's aging hardware. DMC3's gothic cathedrals, hellish towers, and swirling supernatural effects all pop with moody lighting and razor-sharp style. The character models, especially Dante and Virgil, are loaded with attitude, and the animations are buttery smooth, making every combo and acrobatic dodge feel like a choreographed dance of destruction. DMC3's standout graphically is its relentless commitment to style. The game runs at a rock-solid 60 frames per second on PS2, a technical feat for the era, ensuring all that swordplay and gunfu looks as slick as it feels to play. Capcom used clever tricks like dynamic camera angles, dramatic cutscenes, and atmospheric effects, think swirling fog, glowing magic, and demonic energy, to make every boss fight and set piece memorable. Even today, fans argue that the original PS2 version has a certain visual crunch and cinematic flair that later HD remasters can't quite replicate. DMC3 isn't just beautiful for its time, it's a masterclass in using art direction, animation, and technical polish to create a world that's as cool to look at as it is to conquer. If you want to see the PS2 flex, this is one game that still turns heads. Burnout 3 Takedown. Let's put yourself in driving test involved launching rivals into guardrails at 150 miles per hour. Burnout 3 Takedown, 2004, PlayStation 2, is the game that turns reckless driving into an art form. Developed by Criterion Games, this entry didn't just raise the bar for arcade racers, it strapped it to a rocket and blasted it through a billboard. The heart of Burnout 3 is its glorious chaos. You're not just racing to the finish, you're actively encouraged to smash, crash, and obliterate your way to victory. The takedown system rewards you for sending opponents spinning into traffic or scenery, all captured in glorious slow-mo that lets you savor every bit of twisted metal and flying debris. Rack up enough carnage, and you'll fill your boost meter, letting you hit speeds that'll make your controller sweat. Graphically, Burnout 3 is a PS2 showstopper. Cars gleam, crashes are spectacularly detailed, and the sense of speed is so intense you'll instinctively lean into every turn. The tracks are packed with shortcuts, jumps, and enough traffic to keep your reflexes sharp. Add in a thumping early 2000s soundtrack, and you've got a racer that's as stylish as it is explosive. Rogue Galaxy. You know that feeling when you stumble onto a sci-fi anime marathon at 2 a.m. and suddenly want to join a crew of space pirates? That's the energy Rogue Galaxy brings to the PlayStation 2. Released by Level 5 in 2005, Japan, and 2007, everywhere else, this action RPG is a technicolor blast of interstellar adventure, wild sword fights, and more side quests than you can shake a laser at. The story kicks off with Jaster Rogue, a sand-dusted farm kid with big dreams and a bigger sword, getting mistaken for a legendary bounty hunter. Before he knows it, he's whisked off his home planet and onto the Dorganark, a pirate ship crewed by the galaxy's most lovable weirdo. The quest? Hunt for the mythical planet Eden, outwit evil empires, and maybe save the universe on the side. The plot's got twists, ancient secrets, and enough space opera drama to keep you glued to the controller. But here's where Rogue Galaxy really flexes. The gameplay is fast-paced, real-time action, letting you juggle party members, chain combos, and unleash flashy special attacks without ever hitting a loading screen. The weapon fusion system is dangerously addictive. You will lose hours tinkering. And the Revelation Flow Grid lets you power up your crew in creative ways. Each planet is a playground of vibrant colors, quirky monsters, and hidden treasures. It might not have gotten Final Fantasy levels of hype, but for PS2 adventurers, Rogue Galaxy is a cosmic gem worth discovering. Sometimes a JRPG comes along that says, why settle for dragons when you can have space dragons and existential crises? That's Star Ocean, Till the End of Time for you. Released on PlayStation 2 in 2004. NA. This Tri-Ace and Square Enix collaboration is the third main entry in the Star Ocean series. And it doesn't just go big, it goes intergalactic, metaphysical, and a little bit bonkers.
I'll give it my best shot!
Looks like an even match!
How do you like that? How do you like that?
Star Ocean, Till the End of Time. The adventure kicks off with college kid Fate Lanegod, who's just trying to enjoy a vacation with his family and childhood friend Sophia. Naturally, The universe can't let him have nice things. An alien race called the Vendini attacks. The Federation declares war, and Fate gets separated from everyone he knows after a frantic escape. He crash lands on a medieval-level planet, gets swept up in a local war, and discovers he's being hunted for mysterious reasons. What starts as a quest to reunite with family quickly spirals into a galaxy-spanning plot involving ancient powers, political intrigue, and secrets that will literally shake the fabric of reality. Gameplay ditches the old-school menu battles for real-time action, letting you control one party member while the AI handles the rest, unless you want to micromanage everyone's tactics. Battles are frenetic, with a unique twist. Run out of HP or MP, and you're down for the count, so spamming magic isn't always the best idea. The Fury meter keeps you from just mashing attacks, and the game's customization, item creation, and private action systems are deep enough to keep you tinkering for hours. This is what makes Till the End of Time special, is its wild plot twist. Halfway through, you discover the entire universe is a simulation, a massive MMO for higher dimensional being. It's a sci-fi curveball that turns the story on its head and gives the final act a philosophical edge. Whether you love it or groan at the Matrix vibes, it's unforgettable. Star Ocean. Till the End of Time is ambitious, sometimes messy, but always fascinating, a PS2 RPG that dared to ask, what if your whole world was just someone else's game? If you like your space operas with a side of existential dread and real-time swordplay, this one's worth the journey. Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil. If you are a dreamer and want to be in a playable dream, yes, this exactly feels like. Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil, PS2, 2001, is your ticket to whimsical, underappreciated magic. You play as Klonoa, a floppy-eared dream traveler who crash lands in the world of Lunatea, a place with 4 kingdoms, each more imaginative than the last. The story kicks off when Klonoa teams up with Lolo, a priestess in training with a heart of gold and a knack for self-doubt, and Popka, her gruff but loyal dog-like sidekick. Their quest? To ring the 4 harmony bells and stop a mysterious 5th bell from plunging the world into chaos. The gameplay is pure platforming bliss. It's technically 2.5D, so you're running, jumping, and solving puzzles on a winding path that twists through lush 3D backgrounds. Klonoa's signature move is the Wind Bullet, a magical ring that lets you grab, toss, or double jump off enemies. Each level, or vision, is packed with clever mechanics, explosive boomies, color-changing lickeries, and even hoverboard rides that feel like a sugar rush. The controls are tight, the puzzles are just tricky enough, and every stage rewards curiosity with hidden collectibles and secret paths. Klonoa 2 apart is its emotional core. The story isn't just cute, it's surprisingly poignant, touching on themes of sorrow, friendship, and letting go. The visuals are vibrant, the music is dreamy, and the whole package is a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful adventures are the ones that almost slip by unnoticed. If you missed this gem, it's time to chase that dream. Virtua Fighter 4. Let's be honest, most fighting games are about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face. But Virtua Fighter 4 on the PS2? This one's for the martial arts purists. The folks who think a perfectly timed counter is more satisfying than any fireball or flying dragon punch. Released in 2002, Sega's legendary brawler ditches the over-the-top theatrics and instead delivers a technical, tactical showdown where every move counts. You'll pick from a diverse cast of fighters, each with their own real-world fighting style, and a move list that rewards practice, patience, and precision. The visuals were a knockout for their time, with smooth character models and detailed arenas that made every punch, kick, and throw feel impactful. The Kumite mode let you climb the ranks, unlock snazzy costumes, and simulate the thrill of the Japanese arcade scene right in your living room. Virtua Fighter 4 isn't about button mashing or wild special effects. It's about reading your opponent, mastering timing, and proving your skills in the most honest fight club on the PS2.
5-1, this is Hammerhead 16, TAC advises streets barricaded to...
Black. If there's one PS2 shooter that made you want to blow everything to smithereens, it's Black 2006 from Criterion Games. Forget about a deep plot. You play as Jack Keller, a Black Ops soldier on a mission to take down terrorists. But the story is mostly just an excuse to unleash relentless, cinematic gunfire. The game is all about spectacle. Every mission is a linear, action-packed gauntlet where the real fun is seeing what you can destroy next. And wow, those graphics. For its time, Black was a technical marvel on the PlayStation 2. The game's claim to fame is its jaw-dropping visual effects explosions erupt in clouds of sparks and debris, bullets shred concrete and glass, and smoke fills the air after every firefight. Environments are packed with destructible elements. Barrels, cars, walls, even parts of buildings can be blown apart, turning each shootout into a chaotic, particle-filled light show. The weapons themselves are lovingly detailed, with flashy reload animations and realistic effects, earning the game its gun porn reputation. Lighting and particle effects are top-notch, with every firefight bathed in cinematic flair. The sound design matches the visuals, with thunderous gunshots, booming explosions, and a sweeping orchestral score that makes every battle feel like a blockbuster movie. While the gameplay is straightforward and linear, Black stands out as one of the most visually impressive and explosively satisfying shooters ever released on the PS2. Soulcalibur III. If you were a PlayStation 2 owner in 2005 and loved your fighting games with a side of epic drama and endless customization, Soulcalibur III was basically your holy grail. Developed by Namco's Project Soul, this sequel took the series' signature weapons-based combat and cranked the content dial to 11, offering more modes, more fighters, and more ways to play than any entry before it. The plot picks up after Soulcalibur II, with the cursed sword, Soul Edge, and its rival Soulcalibur still at the center of a globe-trotting, centuries-spanning struggle. Siegfried, freed from the sword's grip, sets out to seal its evil for good, but the blade's dark influence is far from finished. Meanwhile, new faces like Zasalamel, Tira, and Setsuka join the cast, each with their own ambitions and fighting styles, as old favorites like Mitsurugi, Sophitia, and Nightmare return for another round of steel-on-steel mayhem. Gameplay is where Soulcalibur III really shines. The core fighting is as tight and satisfying as ever, but it's the new modes that steal the show. Tales of Souls is a story-driven campaign with branching paths and quick-time cutscenes, letting you shape each character's fate. Chronicles of the Sword throws in a dash of real-time strategy as you guide custom-created warriors across battle maps, seizing bases and fighting classic Soulcalibur duels to decide the outcome. And then, there's the robust character creation mode, which lets you build your own fighter from dozens of classes, weapons, and costumes, and even tweak their personality, sort of, through their gear. The roster is massive, 24 main characters in the story, plus a slew of unlockable and custom fighters, making it the biggest lineup in series history at the time. The stages are equally varied and vibrant, and the graphics and orchestral soundtrack give every fight a sense of grandeur. Sure, there's no online play, but the sheer amount of single-player content, more than most fighters of its era, means you'll be unlocking secrets and mastering new styles long after your thumbs go numb. Marvelous verdict. 2 decades later, the PlayStation 2's most beautiful games still dazzle, proving that great art direction and technical wizardry never go out of style. These 20 titles didn't just push hardware, they pushed imaginations, setting new standards for what games could look and feel like. Whether you're revisiting old favorites or discovering these gems for the first time, the PS2's visual masterpieces remain as breathtaking now as they were at launch.